For my next driving game, I'm going to take Stardew Valley.
What the
in which
Hello and welcome, travelers of the digital soundscape. I am your host, Brian Keese, and this is Draft Punks, a show where we make lists about whatever we damn well please. We are back with a Micro Machine-sized episode compared to our last one for you this week, with Travis McGahee in the house. Yes, very good. Preston Wilkie is here. And now the precedent has been set. Ryan Stabell.
Vroom vroom.
Oh!
See, I wanted to hear like a snow runner truck type noise.
I don't know. I think
that's just spinning tires, actually.
That's a different game, Preston. Those which you know.
I don't know. I like the vroom vroom. I think you both kind of just got. It has taken us just over a month here to recover from that massive fantasy critic draft that we did back in January. Speaking of which, Travis, I know I kind of put you on the spot about 20 minutes ago before we started recording, but as the once former commissioner, do you think you could give us a little update on the Fantasy Critic League that I'm definitely not asking for because I'm currently in first place?
But that is why you're asking.
That's a big part of why I'm asking.
Quite clear, yeah. So we've got 4 people with a positive amount of points here. And that would be Brian in first place, leading by about 3.5 points over one Chris, Crypto Zookeeper Babino. Mike Tucker coming in at third, behind Brian. Again, we'll use Brian as the relative point because that's what he cares about. Behind by 12 points. And then Bob with a measly 5.32 points. But then we've got 5 people tied for 5th place. And one Holden Hintz is coming in 10th place with minus 7.33. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about that, Brian?
Oh, wait, hold on. It's not like golf rules, though, right? Like, that's bad to have minus 7.3.
Yeah. In fact, as I look at Paul Venus games here, he's got 3 games released, and 2 of them have negative points, are worth negative points. So,
a recap for the listeners. What happened was, during our Fantasy Critic Draft, we got to the counter pick round, and when it was Holden's turn, he said something like this. It was like, I don't know, Final Fantasy Theater Rhythm Final Barline sounds like a game for babies. It sounds like a stupid baby game for babies. And so he counterpicked it. And Theater Rhythm Final Barline took that personally.
It's at an 86.
Yes.
I think that's what Holden would call a classic hater mentality.
Would like that he has that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Holden just did such a wonderful impression of me on their Wasties episode. So I wanted to return the favor. That's all.
So that's what this is actually.
Yes. All the love in the world to Holden. I got to just go visit him a couple weeks ago in Vegas. It was a great time. He showed us around town. It was a lot of fun.
But Ryan actually has what's looking to be a heavy hitter coming out next, with the Dead Cells Castlevania DLC. Ryan, are you excited about that?
Yes, I was so proud of Chris. This is my first time getting to come on after representative of the new merger. Chris got to do the draft for us this year. He did a wonderful job. Very excited to see Castlevania. Super excited that we got Jedi Survivor in the first round. I just can't believe that we were able to pick that up at the tail end of the first round there. Very happy with our draft, yeah.
Well, awesome.
I was also shocked that you got that game at the end of the first round.
But yeah, the 3 out of the 4 of us on this podcast have 0 points right now, so we don't have much to talk about.
Yeah.
Negative.
I've had a strong start, and I'm really excited because I got to wash off the clown makeup finally. Advance Wars Reboot Camp does have a release date. It's next month. I'm very hyped. Comes out a week before Ryan's Jedi Survivor. So that plus Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. We're looking for a strong Q2 as well. Pretty excited.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
All right. So Ryan, thank you again for joining us tonight. This is not the only podcast that you appear regularly on. You are on a few. But my favorite one that you host has to be Gotta Rank 'Em All. But sadly, we are approaching the end, it seems like, of Gotta Rank 'Em All. Can you give us a little update on the show and what your plans are for the final lists in the coming weeks?
Nearing the end of an era for sure. We're at the final 5 or 6 lists, roughly, if I remember right. We've got upcoming soon a spoiler cast. We had one Holden Hints on. We just talked about him, lovely man, to talk about Scarlet and Violet. It was a great time. But we'll be back to ranking right after that. We are so close. We have an idea for the final episode. That one might take a little, I guess, penultimate episode. That might take a little bit longer because we want to schedule a few guests in at the same time for maybe our most contentious episode when Chris and I each pick some Pokemon to re-rank that we feel have either been done dirty or maybe got a little bit more than they deserve.
This is how Typhlosion gets in the top 5, isn't it? This is how it happens. Okay.
No. As long as Typhlosion's in the top 100, I will be happy with the list at the end. If he's below top 100, I will fight to bring him back into that mark. But I do have a couple Pokemon in mind. And if you've been listening to the show long enough, you could probably take some good educated guesses on stuff that I think he's maybe either a little too loved or not quite loved enough for the list. That's what we've been talking about for a little while. We're very excited. And I mean, obviously, once we're out of Pokemon, the show's going to retire. We've talked about maybe something else, but it'll be back whenever more Pokemon comes out.
Excellent. Yeah, looking forward to that. Absolutely. And tonight we are ranking things in a sense through our draft process, and we've picked a topic that is very near and dear to Ryan's heart for this one. But before we get to that, Preston, can you remind listeners or tell new listeners exactly how the show works?
Yeah, so we will draft things for a topic in a fantasy draft, snake draft. Each of us will get one pick over the course of 5 rounds, where we will start at 1 and go to 4, and then 4 back to 1. That's how snaking works.
Very
and
well
then after we're done with that, we'll have our drafted list of picks.
Thank you, Preston.
Did I explain that right?
So eloquent, so beautifully said.
Beautifully done.
Yeah. And so the advantage to having that first overall pick is obviously you get the first pick at the top of the draft, and then you get the first pick in the final round. And we usually let the winner of the previous episode take that, but because our previous episode was that fantasy critic draft, we randomized the entire list tonight with Ryan's help, and Travis McGahee has come out with the top pick. I will be going second, Preston third, and Ryan kind of got himself because he's picking last. Some people love that spot. Some people like the back-to-back, the 2 in a row, so we'll see how it goes for Ryan tonight. But Ryan, the topic tonight, again, like I said, you're very passionate about it. Driving games.
Very excited. Yeah, I've been on a good few episodes with you guys, and this may be the one I'm most excited for, because if you've listened, you know I'm a car guy, so this is near and dear to my heart. Honestly, I'm very happy almost going last, because it'll help me make decisions based on what you guys are going to pick, because
sure,
I maybe have too many options for the lists I want to draft tonight. So.
See,
you say lists. How many lists have you created? How many tabs?
Well, there's the arcade list, the simulator list, the ones I love list, the ones if I wanted to win list, the ones that's kind of a bit list. There's a lot of potential lists.
And Brian, how many lists do you have?
Barely one. Speaking of how excited Ryan was for us to do driving games, Travis and I are excited that this is driving games and not car games or something else a little more
Yeah.
specific. So
Yeah. Actually, car games would also work for me.
true, very true.
Actually.
So we will not hold the audience in suspense any longer. With that being said, Travis, you are on the clock with the first pick. What do you got?
So I get to take the first thing that came to my mind when I thought of driving games, and that is Star Wars Episode 1 Racer. The one game that the Nintendo 64 controller really feels created for.
Mm-hmm.
When you plug 2 in and you control each engine with one controller, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That was the way to go.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, everything about this game, the narrator saying it's a new lap record was actually the best reason ever to get a lap record was just to hear that. I felt like it had really cool customization and like going to the shop or like checking out the junkyard to find parts that like had slight issues, and of course you'd just repair them. But when I was a kid, I didn't really understand that. But my favorite thing about Star Wars Episode 1 Racer is the sense of speed that it conveys.
Yeah.
Like you really feel like you're going super fast, and some of those late tracks are extremely difficult, especially to somebody who doesn't understand how to use brakes in a driving game. Like why would you use those when you could just drive better, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This one was very high on my list. Would probably have been my first round pick as well. I gotta say, it does feel great to play on the N64, but if you give me the arcade cabinet version where you sit in Anakin's pod and they actually have the two thrusters to push forward to drive, and then you pull one back to turn left or pull the other back to turn right, so much fun as a kid, and got to play it actually last week. A new barcade opened up in Olympia, not too far from my home. Shout out Legends Arcade. We went for the grand opening night, and I got to sit in and play through Tatooine on Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, and it was still dope AF.
The Bunta.
Yes, the Bunta Eve
Very
Classic.
nice.
Yes.
Yeah, very nice.
Question though, is this a driving game or a hover game?
I also had a question about this.
Okay.
Do y'all not care about the sanctity of this show?
Oh, Preston. The sanctity of this show is that we say things like driving game and do not elaborate.
Mm-hmm.
That's the sanctity.
I would
of
allow
this
this.
Okay. I mean, Ryan's the guest, so I feel like his vote counts 3 times over anyway.
show. Yeah. Just wait.
Which is why my first pick is going to be Wii Golf. Wii Golf.
Nice. Yes.
Classic.
There were some golf games on my bit list. Yeah.
Classic driving game.
I told you were going to be mad, Preston.
I don't. Wow. Elaborate.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about some of the classic games that involve driving, your GTAs, really driving only makes up about, 10-15% of the game. But in golf, it's like 1 out of every 4 shots. So I would argue that you're driving more in golf than you are in some of those other games that are probably going to be picked tonight.
My only argument would be if you're good at the game, because if you're bad, then you're driving 1 in every 15, 20.
Well, I can't say I'm the best, as evidenced by our Draft Punks Open that we held a year and a half ago. That title goes to the Pearson brothers for sure. But I'm good enough that I think we can qualify it here. So, but Wii Golf, when the Nintendo Wii first came out with that Wii Sports collection, it was just really such a great showcase for how those motion controls worked. I think bowling is probably the standout still from that game. But for me, as a huge golf nerd and as a fan of the sport, that was the one I always wanted to play. Like the overswing and the bar will kind of wiggle at the end and your shot will go left or right. It was just always super fun for me. So I absolutely love Wii Golf. If you go on a cruise ship, still to this day, you can usually find the cruise director doing like a Wii golf tournament at some point during the week on board because they haven't updated their consoles since 2009. But yeah, it's just a classic game. I love Wii Golf, and it's one of my favorite ways to drive with the Wii Golf motion controls.
Preston looks so disappointed.
Okay, so it wasn't until about halfway through your explanation that the pun actually even clicked for me.
Oh, yeah, because you're using your driver off the tee.
Now I
Preston.
agree with your pick. Whenever I was thinking for some reason you were talking like
driving a golf
cart. You
cart?
could drive the golf cart. Yeah. And that was why you were calling it a driving game.
Oh, my goodness.
All right. That's good.
Thank you. I appreciate you. And because you were so forgiving there, I will pass it along to you for the third pick.
I feel like this was weird fake out from Ryan, but I'm going to go with it anyways right off the rip. Cruisin' USA.
Very good game. On my list. Very
USA
good game.
instead of Exotica? I mean...
Cruisin' USA was just like the one that I played as a kid. It had the most nostalgia behind it.
But that arcade cabinet doesn't go Cruisin' Exotica. You know
It goes cruising, yeah. That's all I remember from that part.
I think it probably says USA.
Cruising USA. It was a big part of our childhood. Whenever we would go to this place called Willie's that's near our house, they had an arcade cabinet. It was like an ice house, so it was always asking for quarters, going and playing Cruisin' USA. And then when my friend got a Nintendo 64, it was going over to his house, and that alongside Harvest Moon 64 were like two of my first all-nighters of just playing this constantly over and over and over and over again. And it was fantastic. It doesn't hold up, I'm sure.
I mean, you still see it in arcades everywhere. Like it's a fun game still to go play. The physics definitely don't hold up. Like the crashes in that game are very bad. But it's fun. It's one of those ones that's like once you really get to know the arcade game well too, there's like little Easter eggs and secret paths you can take and stuff that are really cool.
And I think that was my first experience with having like the secret paths where if you knew, you take a left at this turn up here instead of a right, then you're going to get a little shortcut. That was one of the first times I ever experienced it. And then of course, hitting the pedal twice whenever you go over ramp to do a flip, always fun. Always satisfying.
Absolutely. All right. I think that's a great pick. Ryan, was that on one of your lists? Your arcade list, perhaps?
That was on the arcade list. Yeah, for sure.
He brought it up to Rob last night, thinking I couldn't hear him because I had walked away from the desk, but I had my Bluetooth headphones on.
I know you have Bluetooth headphones.
Oh,
it was big.
Oh, a little gamesmanship. A little gamesmanship.
But yeah, it was already on my list, and it was already really high on my list because just fantastic nostalgia game.
Yeah.
No, it's a great pick because everyone can have a relationship with the arcade version. Everyone probably hopped in that once when they were going to the movies as a kid.
Yes, that is the movie theater arcade starter pack. It's Cruisin' USA. It's some kind of on rails shooter game. Every theater had it. Has
Area
a cruising
51
game for sure. Yeah, Area 51 or like Dino Crisis or something like that. All right, Ryan, you've got two in a row.
All right. So that also the reason I did that, Preston, is because now I get to make the list of games I love very easily. Yeah, I'm a big car guy. I'm going to gush a little bit here. These first two picks probably are top 10 games I've poured the most hours into in my life. First pick being SnowRunner, which I think we all knew was happening. I absolutely adore this game. This is Logistics in the Wilderness, the video game. You're in a post-apocalypse. That's the only reasonable explanation. You never see any other human being in this game other than yourself. So the only explanation is post-apocalypse, who is slowly rebuilding civilization by driving supplies from one place to another in 20-inch deep mud in a semi. And it's just calming. It's relaxing. It's not the most exciting game, but if you want a game that you can kind of just relax after a hard day at work, listen to a podcast or watch a YouTube video, and feel rewarded because you're getting things done, even if it's slow progress, God, SnowRunner just scratches all those little itches. It feels so good. I've got like 350 hours, and I haven't even finished all the DLC before they just released new DLC again like last week. And there's another year planned still.
That's an insane amount of hours.
How many hours do you have in Valorant, Brian?
No comment. So my question here, Ryan, is why haven't you given up the locksmith life yet to go become a long haul trucker?
It's harder to game when you're a long haul trucker.
Very fair.
Good point.
Very fair.
Right?
Good
you
point.
Get to come home every night when you're locksmith.
Yeah.
You just have your rig in your sleeper cab, though.
Drive one of them
gamers
Tesla trucks.
I did watch you stream this game once for about 45 minutes, and the entire 45 minutes was you had gotten just like barely stuck on the side of the road, and it took you that long to like figure out just exactly how to winch it and go back and get another truck so you could pull that truck out and then return that truck and then come back and get back and I was just like, oh my, I couldn't do it.
And I've like 100% completed like 9 maps.
Oh my gosh. I do completely understand how that could be zen for a person, but I would just be so frustrated. I get so angry if I have a flat tire in real life, so having that kind of stuff constantly happen to me in a game would be awful.
No, it's for sure niche. It's not.
No.
But I am glad this is the studio's third attempt at a game. Their first one was Spin Tires, and then it was Mud Runner, and now Snow Runner. And this is the first one that really feels like a video game in a big sense. The first two kind of feel like proof of concepts for the physics engine behind the mud.
Okay.
Because this is the first time there's like campaigns and like true missions that kind of lead into one another, and so it's the most gamified one, which is why it's the one I've spent the most time in. But I have all three of them. I've been playing them since the PS3 era, if I remember correctly, is when Spin Tires came out.
Now, one more question, Ryan. This is the driving games episode, but this game is called Snow Runner.
Yeah, it's talking about the cocaine you're trafficking between one place and another.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Wonderful. Okay. Second pick, sir.
Second pick, Gran Turismo 5. We all knew there was a Gran Turismo coming out. And I think there are arguments to be made for Gran Turismo 4. I think there are arguments to be made for Gran Turismo 2. But I was not a PlayStation guy in that era, so I don't have any nostalgia for them. Gran Turismo 5 is the one that I have probably another 300 to 500 hours in. This is before consoles kept track of hours. But this is the game I would come home from after school and after work and do the 4 to 8 hour long endurance races and just go ham with the wheel. And like 3-4 nights a week, I would come home and do a 4 to 8 hour long race. It feels so good. Man. The car selection's phenomenal. It's the last like there's no online only. Like the new Gran Turismo, don't even get me started. You can't really play it if it needs an update or your internet's down. It's so bare bones. Excuse me. The car selection's great. The graphics are just good enough because it's that PS3 era where it doesn't look aged at all, even if it's not like top of the line, brand new looking graphics. It hits so. It hits all those comfort nostalgia racing bones to the point where I emulated PS3 on my PC so I can play Gran Turismo 5 and not have to play Gran Turismo 7 on my PS5.
Okay. I think the only experience I've always wanted to like really get into a Gran Turismo game. I've played it a couple times at friends' houses throughout the years. The most I ever played one was actually on like a demo disc for the OG Gran Turismo on PS1. And I remember they had like the time trials to get like the first license or whatever, and then you could unlock some cars and do some races, and then it had the time trial to get the next license. And I tried that thing for months before really realizing that, it's a demo. That they don't want me to beat this time, I don't think. They don't want me to advance any further.
Those license tests are notoriously tough at a certain point. The first wave of them, like the beginner through intermediate, you can pretty much get gold on no problem. But at a certain point, you really have to be perfect to be getting gold.
Yeah.
Which is a struggle.
Well, Ryan, that's a gold pick from you. I think that's a great choice.
Thanks, buddy.
2 real solid driving games, SnowRunner and Gran Turismo 5. Now we go back to Preston, whose second pick of Cruisin' Exotica was already spoiled by Travis.
Cruisin' Exotic. It's going to be Mario Kart 8. Now,
Deluxe?
I don't.
version?
Are you getting the deluxe?
God, I hate this version of this rule. Whatever the latest version of this game is.
Does that include the expansion pass DLC?
Yes,
That
it
includes
does.
the expansion passes.
Great pick.
All
So yeah,
4
that was
of
part of it. We were discussing maybe just like Mario Kart as a block, and Mario Kart, but we decided to do individual games, and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I mean, having all of the tracks from obviously the base Mario Kart 8, bunch of new tracks, the season pass stuff that I think is still being updated currently, and it is fantastic. It's a ton of classic maps that are all all updated with these great graphics, and sort of like new mechanics. It's
We
a
should
ton of
play
fun.
those some
There's a
night.
lot to do. Huh?
We should play those some night.
We should definitely play that someday.
I haven't played any of those. I just got the expansion pass to play Ocarina of Time for Hello Hyrule. So
Ooh.
My
that would
only
be
issue with
fun
these
to play all
games,
the new maps.
my only issue with these games really is like the unlock system. Whenever you first start Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, you really have everything available. You're getting unlocks that are like for your car and parts and things like that throughout, but really characters' maps are available in full for most of the characters, and that annoyed me. Like, I wanted some sort of means of progression, and you have to get through all the 50s to get to the 100s to get to the 150s and things like that, which I think I really miss from the past Mario Karts. But I mean, it makes sense that they would have it kind of just all unlocked. This is much more for families and children that just want to hop in and play the game and not be gated by like just artificial,
Yeah.
wins.
Are they still doing the 200cc too for all these new tracks?
I think so.
Okay. That feels like I when they first introduced that, because 150cc, like, it's a great challenge. I think it's a really solid AI difficulty level. I know there's the rubber banding issues there, but 200 is like ridiculous. Like, there are points where you actually do have to brake for a change, because otherwise you're going to go flying into walls or flying off the track. Like, the 200cc speed is no joke.
Yeah, it's pretty absurd.
Yeah. I think that's a great pick. You picked a great Mario Kart game. And now I'm going to pick the best Mario Kart game, which of course is Mario Kart Double Dash. Come
That was
on.
my
that's
other one that I had.
correct
Come on.
decision,
I
Ryan.
had it on there.
You made me destroy my own bit because I had to correct this grievous error. Mario Kart Double Dash is the best Mario Kart game. Just being able to pick a pair of characters for your kart was such a unique twist on that series. The different combined attacks that you could do, being able to hold an item for the first time, and of
Hold 'em?
course, Baby Park, best course in the game. I love it so much.
Baby Park is in Mario Kart 8.
Well, I know that, but it was introduced here, I believe. I think Double Dash was the first time we saw it.
That needs to be the final expansion of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, is just bring in the Double Dash mechanic. Completely overhaul the game.
What I'd really like is to merge what Ryan loves about Gran Turismo. Give me a 500 lap Baby Park race where I can race for 4 to 8 hours on Baby Park at a time with friends. We used to do like 100 stock Smash Brothers fights in college all the time.
Oh yeah.
Where it's just like 2 straight hours of Smash Bros. And I would absolutely love that in Mario Kart. Like, let us do 100 laps, endurance races. That would be so much fun. But yeah, Double Dash. Ryan, I know you agree with this pick too. Is the best Mario Kart game. Do you have some memories from that one?
Oh yeah, absolutely. This was my first Mario Kart. I had the Nintendo systems beforehand, but I never got any of the Mario Karts until this one. I have a lot of memories with Double Dash. It's the only Mario Kart I had on my potentials list. It's so good, so good. It's the one that stands out the most because it's the one that did the most different. But it's still like, regardless of that fact, it's one of the best Mario Karts even without that. So that added on is just,
I looked it up to confirm because you looked concerned when I said, as if it was a fact, that Double Dash was the first place Baby Park showed up. It is, in fact, the first sighting. It then also was in DS, which came out around the same time, I believe.
Also a fantastic
and then Mario Kart 8 and Deluxe, yeah. DS, a great one to play on the go. Travis, we're back to you for your second and third picks.
Interesting that you should mention...
playing games on the go.
Great, yeah, playing games on the go. Have y'all heard of this little game? It came out in the 6th century. Chess.
Okay.
I'll be taking chess.
Okay.
As my second pick.
So I get it, of course, but for Preston and for the listeners. Could you explain how this qualifies as a driving game, Travis?
Well, did you know that you can play games in your Tesla? And that at the end of 2022, they added the ability to play any game on Steam to your Tesla. So that's why Star Wars Episode 1 makes my list here. But for the rest, I'll be taking games that you were able to play on Tesla before you were able to play on Steam. So yeah, chess. See, it's a great to play. You can make your move at a stoplight. It's not like speed chess, time-based thing. You just get to play against the AI. So you're at a stoplight or there's nobody around you. You really could take time to consider your move and make your move while you're driving. Preston is in shambles right now.
I want to have PvP against the Tesla next to you at the light. That would be great.
You just end up following them home.
This feels illegal.
You don't think Magnus Carlsen plays chess in his Tesla? Come on, man.
I'm just saying, I think it feels dangerous for you to promote this, and we should not allow it. This is a riding game. This is not a driving game. A passenger game.
No. See, I'm saying stoplights. Okay, only at stoplights that are red, and stop signs where you're not delaying anybody.
I think that's so specific.
I think that's still very illegal.
So I'm confused. So the chess game is built into the Tesla, like you played on the dash or something?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Like on the
console? On the
tablet.
Tesla screen, yes.
Interesting.
As well as Star Wars Episode 1 Racer.
Right.
And my next pick.
He's moving on before we can criticize chess anymore.
Cuphead, in which you do drive a plane, which you can do while you drive your Tesla.
Yeah,
I think you fly a plane.
Yeah, I mean, you also drive it, right? Flying, driving.
Does the plane in Cuphead land at any point?
Definitely not. Definitely not.
It's gone one bit too
am
far.
I driving my point home?
It took 73 episodes, but we finally found the line.
Look,
I will take the Tesla driving as a driving game over you saying a plane in a game that makes it a driving game.
You wouldn't wait until I pick Microsoft Flight Simulator.
Oh my goodness.
This is illegal, right? This is not.
I mean,
I hate to break it to you, but I don't have any other list. So
I feel like we leave this up to our guests to decide. I feel like this is Ryan's call. Do we want to allow Cuphead? Because A, you fly a plane in the game, and B, you could play it in your Tesla at stop signs or red lights when no one else is behind you.
See, I'm also more okay with the Tesla chess than I am Cuphead flying.
I do feel like the people should be allowed to vote. And can we, for this draft, can we provide negative votes for people to vote against Travis?
Wow. I think Travis would honestly love that. Actually.
Hey, look, I managed to get first pick without having to win an episode. So, like, I'm already riding that high, baby.
That's fair.
Sure.
That's very fair. I guess we're gonna let it stand. I don't know.
Brian, what's your third pick?
My golly.
Just moving on. Just pushing past it.
My third pick is one that I thought Travis would seriously consider just because I know he's a fan of it, even while doing his bit. Like, I was considering Episode 1 Racer despite my golf bit, and that is Rocket League is what I'll be taking for my third game.
That's a good one.
Kind of surprised it lasted this long, to be honest, but that was a game that came out and just like took, the gaming community by storm. It's just like, I mean, it's soccer in cars.
Well,
that's it. That's the pitch.
The thing is,
1v1 up to 4v4. They've added modes in the years since where you can play, hockey in cars and basketball in cars, and they keep innovating on the original design, and most of them have been pretty fun. I played it a lot when it first came out, not nearly as much as Travis and Quo, I think, but put in like probably 20, 30 hours of it, and just it's always a blast. It's always a good time.
The thing there is we don't know if there's anything inside the car actually driving it. So
you still say you're driving a remote control car.
Yeah, you would still say you're driving it if it's remote control. Cuphead.
I think the
As
car
someone in the
is
remote
driving
control
itself,
hobby.
actually.
Travis
It has an antenna.
So, Travis, if we were to allow this very controversial pick I'm making, could you maybe share with us your feelings on Rocket League, though, in general?
Rocket League is excellent. It's to me, it is almost the best soccer game because, like, what you're simulating is being the foot kicking the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's really because as you progress, it becomes so much about the way in which you hit the ball and how you transfer momentum and the level of control you have over your car and like the angle you approach at, or even, you can do aileron rolls. And it's just extremely well done. The skill ceiling is absurdly high. It still hasn't been reached even after all these years of really, really high level play. And it's a blast to watch as well. I'll allow it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, very good esport for sure. I got to a point where I was like getting pretty good at like playing angles or passing the ball to teammates by rolling through the corner and letting them slam it in, and I was like, this is like, we're getting up there skill level wise. I'm starting to get real good at this game. And then you go on Reddit and you see someone air dribbling for like 40 straight seconds before barely tapping it into the goal, and it's absolutely nuts what people have done with this game.
That stuff is hypnotic to watch.
Yeah, it's very fun.
Beautiful.
But yeah, that's the pick. Rocket League. Controversial, sure. It's not Cuphead, that's for sure. But we'll move it along to Ryan. Just kidding. We'll move it along to Preston for his third pick.
Trying to start a fight in here.
No,
I'm going to go
me.
with, I've been doing some pretty good arcadey stuff. So I'm going to stick with that to the most one of the more modern versions of an arcade game that I don't know ever got an arcade release. Split Second came out in while I was in college. So however many years ago that was, 2009, 2008-ish, 30, 40. Back when tuition was just a couple dollars. No, only about $50,000 worth. All right. So the Split Second is very much an arcade racer where you are zooming around a track, and as you are going, there are levolutions where the level changes. I know at one point there's like a plane crash that comes in and just destroys the track as you're driving on it. And so it'll throw you and you'll start just like having to go on these off tracks. So for the first lap, the track is a track. It's normal. And then after that first lap, everything starts getting destroyed and it just progressively gets more and more destroyed as you're driving through it. And so it really turns like a normal driving game into a very like intense adrenaline fueled experience as you're driving through these tracks. And it's all very bombastic and it's very Michael Bay throughout. It does, like, after you've played each track, 10 times, you're not going to be surprised by anything anymore, of course, by the time you're at the end of the game. But it still never really loses its very fun, adrenaline-fueled experience. And it's a ton of fun, and I really, really wish they would do a remake or an update so bad. And they need to bring it back.
That's such a cool idea of the track evolving over the course of the race. I'm kind of surprised we haven't, and maybe it is out there and I just don't know about it, but I'm surprised we haven't really seen that kind of iterated on in other ways. Does it, so I think you kind of answered this where you said the 10th time you're not really surprised. But is the braking at all random or does it break in the same way every single time?
It's always the same.
Okay.
It's very scripted, very much.
Gotcha.
You're going to see the same thing over and over and over again.
Sure.
And it's one of those fun party games, a lot like Mario Kart, where you bring new people in, throw them down in front of the console, and they've never experienced it, and they don't know what Split Second is, and it just blows their mind. And so that's a really fun experience to share with others at a party.
Ryan, a lot of nodding over there. Are you familiar with this one too?
Yeah, played a lot of Split Second as a kid. It's absolutely solid pick. It's definitely on my long list. I was Preston. I'm younger than you. All right, it's okay. It happens. It's just a circumstance of birth. I mean, literally.
Check out the young gun in here, showing you up, old timer.
And to your point, Brian, I think we still see things change, but it's way more subtle. I don't think anything's been as like brazen and brash as Split Second has. Like Gran Turismo 7, as much as I will talk shit on that game every opportunity I'm given, does have a very cool feature where the weather can be dynamic and changing. So every time you do the same race, the weather's different. And while that's subtle, that does affect things greatly in a simulator like Gran Turismo.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. All right, great pick, Preston. Now we do go to Ryan, and he's got 2 in a row here, his third and fourth.
That's right. All right, I think for my third pick, this might be potentially my pick with the most broad appeal. I'll be taking Burnout Paradise.
Never heard of it.
Sweet.
Good game.
I think if you were a gamer in the era, you have memories. That game is an absolute blast. The fact that it is, as much as a loving to get to, part of the reason I love car games is getting to build my cars and customize them and picking exact ones from real life. So the fact that Burnout Paradise is just, more like generalized classes and no real brands, it puts things on a more simple score, than some of the more broad games with too many options. It's all boiled down, and then it's just carnage. There's nothing quite like crashing into something in Burnout Paradise or any of the Burnout games.
Or nudging someone off the road and watching them go flying behind you.
Former Draft Punks winner Nick Vanunu smashed a controller, throwing it into our metal apartment door after doing a very long race, and this was before they had added the feature where you could just teleport back to the beginning of the race if you lost it. And so it was a very, very long drive back to the starting line for that, and we had beat most of the other races at that point. And he just hucked it across the room and it shattered. And we actually like collected all the pieces and kept it in a Ziploc bag that we like moved around with us for a long time. Just because it was like such a good memory, honestly.
That's excellent. This is a great pick. It's not one I've played, but it is one I've seen played, and looks very fun. I think this is, like you said, broad appeal on this one. Will probably win you a couple of votes alone. But what are you following it up with? What's number 4?
Number 4 is a game where, boy, if you like the carnage of Burnout Paradise and you want to see something even more realistic and more carnagey, BeamNG.Drive.
That's the one.
You were playing this last night.
This is a simulator of sorts, but it sets out to simulate all acting parts of a car at the same time. So every part of the car is uniquely modeled inside the game engine. So when you have an accident, each part takes damage individually and can affect the car the way the individual part would actually affect the car.
Oh, wow. So is this the game you would say then with like the most realistic crashing?
Yeah, I would say most realistic crashing, most realistic like mechanical sense behind the vehicles, because they really work the way they work in real life pretty much.
Is this a game you can play with your wheel?
Yes.
Oh, I did not
Do
know
you?
that. That's...
Yeah.
Do you own a racing wheel, Ryan? I assume you
do. I have 2 right now, actually. Trying to get rid of one. Yeah, I do. I have for years. I've had a wheel since the PS3 era when I was playing Gran Turismo 5.
Okay.
So I upgraded beginning of last year, if I remember right.
And I think it should be said that BeamNG Drive is a toolbox kind of setup initially, so you can add a ramp somewhere into this flat landscape and just send cars off the ramp and watch them get totaled. It's very much like a playground of destruction.
That's excellent.
There's like real world maps that you can populate with AI and have car accidents. You can go to like big flat landscapes and build whatever, or they have a pre-built up like grid map with like loop-de-loops and big ramps.
I was going to say, are there loop-de-loops?
Yeah, of course. Has to be. But it's really like you can overheat your car just from redlining it for too long. Like, name another car game where that happens.
Well, that would actually do that to you. Yeah, that's very cool. I need to check this out. I've never heard of this game before, so that's very cool.
I found out about it from there's some great YouTube community content who's making just hilarious stuff in BeamNG. Just search around. There's a good few channels that are like, they've got silly races where they modify the car in some way. And I watched one yesterday that was it's a go-kart race, but every lap the car gets like 100% more powerful. So by the end, it's like a 1,500 horsepower go-kart going around the track.
That's dope. So the other like super real and how old is this game?
Oh my God. I think it first launched in like 2013. It's still in its second phase of beta. It got up to, I want to say like 0.6, and then they did a whole remaster on it, and currently we're at like 0.27.
Oh my gosh. Because I was gonna say the other like super realistic game I know that people play with their racing wheels and stuff is the iRacing, and I was wondering like how this compares to that in terms of like popularity and realism.
See, iRacing, I lean towards Assetto Corsa, which is it's iRacing or Assetto Corsa are like the two really big racing simulators. I would say you're getting more of a game in something like iRacing or Assetto Corsa. There's like scenarios and things to do in BeamNG, but really BeamNG is still early access, proof of concept. Like the engine works that simulates in the same way that like Spin Tires and Mud Runner are games, but they're really proof of concepts for the mud physics.
Yeah.
This one is like a proof of concept for modeling cars part by part instead of as a whole.
Yeah, so BeamNG is almost more of like a platform where you can like go and do stuff. You have to kind of make your own fun as opposed to the other games where it's more set up to play.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, gotcha. Very cool. Thank you for the education on that stuff, because I've always been curious about it, because I know during COVID, when they couldn't, do the in-person NASCAR races and stuff, a lot of those guys were doing like iRacing events and stuff instead.
I think if you have, to nerd out about wheels for a minute, so I have a belt drive wheel, so there's a motor that drives a belt that actually turns the wheel. If you have one of the very high-end direct drive belts, which just the wheel is directly attached to the electric motor, those things can hit like 30 Newton meters of torque, which is enough to break bones if you catch your arm in the wheel the wrong way and you have it on full blast.
Okay.
So absolutely, that's a positive way to train if you have a rig set up for it.
All right, fair enough.
But I would not attach a wheel like that to a table.
Yeah. Good call. All right, Preston. We move on to you, sir. Your fourth pick.
Yeah, I think this is a good spot for a self-plug real quick. We're going to start doing YouTube videos where we're going to do gameplay impressions and discussion, but like really short ones. We've got some coming out this week. I think BeamNG Drive, Ryan, we should get something made and have it come out with this episode.
I'd be down for that.
Yeah, I think that would be really fun, and just do a quick 20-minute. This is what it is. Come check it out and see. So if you're listening, it may exist.
Look for that on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, go to our Real Draft Punks YouTube channel and check out the BeamNG Drive. But that's not why you're here. You'll go to the YouTube for that. Real Draft Punks. You're here for my fourth pick. And my fourth pick is going to be, man, I feel like this is getting real rough. Crazy Taxi.
Oh, good pick.
Yeah.
Crazy Taxi. Huh?
If you're going arcade,
Yeah. It was another one. It was in the ice house that we would go to. It was a regular play for whenever we go to the arcade. Super fun, really silly. Don't play the remake. But if anyone that has never played arcade or Crazy Taxi, you are a taxi and you're going around and you're picking up people and dropping them off at their destinations, and getting there and back is super wild and goofy and silly. And it's just got very boat-like physics on the car where you swing so hard, and it's not exactly super responsive, but it's not supposed to be. It kind of drives you into more ridiculous scenarios by making the driving worse. And it's just a lot of fun. It was really funny as a child. And I don't know how much of that holds up now, but it was a good time in the arcade. And again, I think that was on Dreamcast, right? That was an exclusive console release on Dreamcast, I believe.
That was we had our Dreamcast. That was the one game we had. We played all the time. Is that and Sonic Adventure, pretty much.
Super fun. But yeah, I mean, unless you're playing the original, maybe updated with some mods, if that exists, don't go for this remake that they made recently. It's supposed to be just awful.
All right. For my fourth pick, little known fact, when I was in middle school and high school, I was actually super into NASCAR. Just recently, I started watching the F1 Drive to Survive stuff, and I can already tell I'm going to be an F1 fan. I saw a list today comparing the F1 teams, Ryan. I know you're into this stuff too, to NFL teams, and I have just started season 2 where they talk about Mercedes more. And I'm like, oh, I hate these guys. They're terrible. And then this list I saw compared them to the Patriots. And I said, oh, no.
Now you know how the rest of us feel, Brian.
Yeah. So, yeah, but I was a huge NASCAR fan. My aunt, Irene, got me really into it, and I love Terry Labonte. And so For years, every single year, the NASCAR game used to come out just like Madden, just like NHL. There was always a NASCAR game every year. Specifically, I am picking NASCAR 98. I'm picking that one specifically for a single reason, and it is a cheat code that exists in the game where if you go into the statistics menu and you held down all 4 of the top buttons, L1, L2, R1, and R2 for a few seconds, you would hear an engine revving sound. You could then go into any race and start the race, and if you held down, I think it was the triangle button, you would immediately start shooting paintballs out of the front of your car that as soon as they made contact with another vehicle, it would just completely lose control and spin out. So my goal then became to do 500 laps on, Bristol or Martinsville, the shortest tracks in the game, and just absolutely destroy everyone and win by like 20 laps by the end of the race. So, I was a weird kid, but NASCAR 98, I used to buy those games every single year, but that's the one that stood out for me because of that.
There's one other year of NASCAR game I would have accepted, Brian.
What's that?
Any guesses?
I haven't played
There's
enough
a lot
of them.
of NASCAR years.
Yeah.
2003.
Okay. What's the specific for that one?
It's just the one I have the most nostalgia.
Okay. My aunt got me really into it. I remember this specifically because the reason I liked Labonte was because the year I got into it was the year he won, which was 96. And he had won in like 84 and set the record for most years between titles. And I was like, this is so cool. This old guy, he can still hang. He wins a title. Never seriously competed again after he won the title that year. He was there for like maybe another 7-8 years. I think he still holds the record or held it for a very long time for most consecutive races. And I used to collect, the Hot Wheels, and I had every single version of his card, every different paint scheme that came out. I would go out and buy it. So I was a huge fan of his for a long time, but I kind of fell off after he retired. I liked Jimmy Johnson for a while, but I guess I'm a front runner when it comes to my NASCAR fandom. I just like the guys that are winning a lot. Could never get into Jeff Gordon though, gotta say. Ryan's shaking his head in disappointment.
A little bit. I'm fine with Labonte, but Johnson.
Yeah. I didn't know much about him personally or what kind of guy he was off the track, so that's my defense. But
that's fair.
All right, so NASCAR 98. That's enough NASCAR talk. That's probably the most NASCAR talk we'll ever have on Draft Punks. Travis, sir, you have 2 picks in a row to finish your list.
Yeah, so with this one, I'm here to win Preston's vote back. Okay?
It's going to be very difficult.
I know he's really upset with me, but I really feel like this should smooth things over. For my next driving game, I'm going to take Stardew Valley.
What the
in which yet another game you can play in your Tesla.
Oh my God.
Also, you can drive a minecart while playing Junimo Kart.
Okay. I can allow for that.
So yeah, that's the question: is what percentage of the game has to be driving based? Is it just if you drive at any point in the game, it's a driving game? Because I feel like the term driving game makes it sound like the game is centered on driving.
Oh, but what if you play it while you're driving?
True. Didn't think of that.
It's true.
Yeah.
So this is another one you'd pop in your Tesla?
Yeah, you water your plants while you're at the stoplight, the first stoplight, and then at the second stoplight you go and harvest
right.
The stuff that's already grown. And then at the third stoplight, you can drop it off at the selling box to make sure that you make your money, so on and so forth.
And then by that point, the day would be over. You'd have to go back and go to sleep. You
pause it. You pause it when you leave the stop sign, so you're not doing anything unsafe.
At which stoplight do you romance Abigail?
Abigail.
I don't. Personally,
I looked up who's the most romance character in Stardew. They had her as the best romance in the game. according to
I'm an
dualshockers.com.
Yeah, I'm an Emily main.
She's number 2 on the list. So there you go.
Okay. Yeah, mostly I just don't want. I want Clint to shut up.
Yeah.
Wanting to get with Emily, like to cut the incel behavior out.
Wow.
I recently married Penny, but I really want to divorce her and then sacrifice to the witch in order to make her forget that we ever had a relationship, and have the witch come take our child because I'm sick of that thing.
Yeah.
Is that a thing you can do in this game?
Well, no. The witch doesn't take your child per se. She just turns it into a dove.
See?
Wait, hold on.
It's fine.
Hold on. Is this actually a thing you can do in this game?
Yes. 100%.
You're not screwing with me.
No.
Like
No.
I've never gotten past like the 2-hour mark in Stardew before I've lost my mind. So
It's how you
This is
reset
absolutely
relationships, so
real.
that way if you marry
Yeah.
someone you didn't want to marry, you can...
that is so wild. Wow. Did you know about
Yeah,
that,
if
Ryan?
only it worked like that in the real world, huh?
Wow. Okay. make sure
Rachel,
that's the short right there, Preston. Okay. Stardew Valley, 4th pick, driving games. Got it. What's the 5th one, Travis?
So now on this list is contained a game called Beach Buggy Racing 2, which would really fulfill the criteria. But instead, I think I'm going to take the 1979 classic Asteroids.
Yeah, I think this is honestly one of the best, or at least most adhering to the point of the list picks you've made. So I'm fine with this one.
Oh wait, so you drive a spaceship, but you
Yeah.
don't drive a plane? I'm sorry, I push back against this premise. You drive both of those things.
They call it the drive engine.
You're using the drive, the
Asteroids.
hyperdrive. Yeah.
You can really only get a little bit in at each stop sign or stoplight here, so it's a little bit tougher of the ones on this list to really make progress in. But it's a great time to play while you're driving.
Mm-hmm.
In my car, beep beep, I'm in my car.
Draft of car songs. That's
Oh, that would
Domo
be
arigato, Mr. Roboto. Did you know do you guys remember that Volkswagen commercial?
Yeah.
vaguely.
Yeah. Did you know that's Tony Hale, but one Buster Bluth from Arrested Development?
Really?
I wouldn't. I'd
in
have
that
to go back and
commercial?
watch it.
Yes. So when Buster gets his hook stuck in the dashboard of the stair car while listening to Mr. Roboto, it's actually a reference to that commercial.
Okay.
Like
very,
very
good.
deeply
Very
layered.
good.
Yeah. If only he had been in a Tesla, this would be a lot more applicable to my bit.
I was going to say, it sounds to me like you're veering off topic in order to distract us from the fact that you just picked Asteroids as your 5th pick.
Preston, you know what? As America's shown time after time, we're going to leave this in the hands of the voters, and they're going to sort this thing out.
I find that.
Oh, yeah, it's always good sorted out.
In Asteroids, I tend to do worse when I start driving. I'm fine if I can keep my ship.
That's why you pause the game before you start driving.
I keep my ship in the middle of the screen. I'm okay, but as soon as I have to move out of the way of a larger asteroid, that's when the trouble starts. That's an interesting list you've made there, Travis. I'll give you that.
I can't wait to go into the vote with all 3 of your guys' votes.
Yeah,
at
absolutely.
My back. I'm really
certain that's what's going to happen.
Stoked about that.
Goodness gracious. I'm tempted to do one that is kind of a Stardew Valley like pick, where there is driving that happens in the game, but it's not what the game is about.
Just pick Golf Story, man.
I feel like I've adhered pretty well to actually following the rules of the list, though, so I'm gonna stick with that, and I'm gonna go with another PS1 game here, Destruction Derby. Thank you, Ryan. I'm glad. I was worried this was gonna be met with confused looks. So, So this is one of the first games that we got on our PS1. Destruction Derby is a racing game / destruction derby game. Think going to your local county monster truck rally, destruction derby. And what was cool about it was it actually had like a fully developed season career mode type thing where you could create a racer. They had other racers in the game that went with you from race to race, as similar to Mario Kart in that sense. Like you would see the same drivers over and over again in the races with you. And it was always, there would be a destruction derby where you could earn points by lasting long enough in the derby and knocking out other cars. And then they would always follow that up with a race. So you'd kind of go back and forth so that one mode or the other didn't get too stale. And it is a PS1 game. I'm sure if I went back to it now, it would definitely be showing its age. But I just remember having a blast for hours on end with that game as a kid. It was just so much fun, like purposely going and crashing the car into other vehicles and trying to drive backwards and use the reverse so that you were not doing major damage to the hood and the engine. Ryan, have you actually played this one, or you just know it by reputation?
No, I dabbled with it. I remember, here's a blast from the past. I remember renting this from a Blockbuster for my N64.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
So I never got too far in the career mode or anything, but I do remember playing Destruction Derby a few times for sure.
Yeah, they made sequels for it too, but I have never touched those. I have only played the original one, unfortunately, so I don't know if they're as good or not. It looks like there's a Destruction Derby 2 and then a Destruction Derby Raw as well. But this original Destruction Derby was pretty close to the launch back in 1995 is when it first released. But it came out on PlayStation, N64, as you mentioned, as well as MS-DOS and the Sega Saturn. So the MS-DOS actually had online multiplayer, it says here on the wiki, which for 1995, interesting. I wonder how well that worked.
As good as you would expect.
Yeah. So that's my final pick here, Destruction Derby. Preston, we go to you for the penultimate pick.
Forza Horizon 5.
I was kind of thinking this whole time. I'm surprised Forza game has not been chosen yet, all the way to the 5th round. I've always been really interested in picking one of these up. I just never have, but they seem fantastic from everything I hear. So
I fully expect to pick up the next Forza game whenever it comes out. I'm sure I'm really gonna like that and have a great time. I thoroughly enjoyed Forza Horizon 5. I thought it was really cool and it's super fun. I will say the arcadey nature of the races, there's something about it that doesn't keep me coming back or wanting to progress as much. And it might be that the progression and the car unlocking is too generous. And so you just are constantly like being thrown, the flashy dopamine music hits all the time. And I think that hurts the loop of progression a little bit whenever it comes to those games. But so I do think that the mainline Forza is probably a step above. But Forza Horizon 5 is a great, across the board, anyone's going to really have a great time playing it. It's just a lot of fun. A lot of the races are still nail-bitingly close. It's tuned well, but it something about it. I don't know. I fell off. I played it a lot when it first came out, and then I fell off very hard and just am not interested in going back to it. It's a panic pick for sure. And now that I'm like talking through it, I'm like talking myself out of the pick, but it's too late. It's locked in. Write it down. Forza Horizon 5.
I think Ryan likes this pick. He's all right with it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I do like this pick. Forza Horizon 5 is a good time. I also played it hot and heavy and then fell off pretty hard, but I think it floats that line between arcade and simulator in a really nice way. I do feel the dopamine kind of burnout that Preston mentioned, and I think they do that partially because there's so many cars you can get,
Yeah.
and not all of them you can buy, so they want you to feel like you are getting stuff constantly, but a lot of times it's like, hey, here's a new t-shirt for your character that you never see because you're always looking out the window or over the back of the car. Like, I don't know, but it does feel really good. Hopefully matchmaking got a little better, because when we were playing, matchmaking was a little inconsistent. But I mean, as long as you were in with your friends, absolutely great time. And Preston, just because you said you'll be playing the next Forza, we'll be playing the next Forza.
I'm excited for it. I want to get back into one of those games really hot and heavy, and it's been a while.
If someone was going to pick up Forza as a newcomer, not asking for anyone in particular, maybe myself, would you recommend the mainline series or the Horizon series as a better entry point?
Do you find yourself enjoying arcade-style racing games more,
Yeah,
or simulator-style racing games more?
Okay. And that's what the decision would be. I would have to do some inner soul searching, I feel like.
Yeah.
To really think about that, because
But
when I was in my NASCAR, like, I was really into the simulator stuff. But yeah, more recently probably the more arcadey, which would be the Horizon, I assume.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting stuff. All right, well, that was the penultimate pick. Now the ultimate pick. Ryan, what do you got?
The game to close out the list. I was putting my list together, and I went through my Steam library, I went through my Brain library, and then I did a couple Google searches just to make sure I wasn't missing something from my memory. And during one of those searches, there was a single photo that unlocked a whole quadrant of my memory that I forgot about. In a little game. No. How dare you, Preston? Need for Speed 3 Hot Pursuit.
Yes.
Excellent pick, sir. Excellent.
Yeah. I saw one screenshot and I was like, oh my God. And I can remember dozens of hours spent on my, here's a phrase that you don't utter too often anymore, family computer, playing Need for Speed 3 Hot Pursuit. God, it just, little pixelated that it was. It felt so good. It was always fun to run from the cops. It handled great. I should see if that game's on Steam, honestly.
Yeah, I enjoyed being the cops and like getting to call in the spike strips and the roadblocks and stuff. That was super fun.
Also, yeah, I mean, the whole game is just it's so good.
That's a great pick. Yeah, as soon as I looked it up and saw that cover of the car being chased by the police car, like that's
Yes.
yeah, it's a Lamborghini Diablo on the cover. It says here, yeah, just an iconic cover. Great pick. This is one I did not think of either, but love it.
I think between that and your Burnout Paradise pick, like, you have a corner on teenage nostalgia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a little bit, right?
Yeah, those are both huge for that era.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, great choice. All right, we have reached the end of the road. We are crossing the finish line here. So next step up is we recap our lists, and then we will do our host vote, and then we can go through any honorable mentions we still have. I know Ryan probably has a ton based on the number of lists that he has. So, but Travis, you had the first pick tonight, so we will start with you, sir. If you could give us your list one more time.
Yeah, my driving game list is as follows. Star Wars Episode 1 Racer.
Great pick.
Chess, Cuphead.
What?
Stardew Valley. And Asteroids.
Yes.
Are we drafting
All
again?
games you can play while driving your while at stop signs and stoplights in your Tesla.
I feel like you could just apply that to any list we do from here on out in the future. It's like, well, but if I'm doing it in a Tesla, it qualifies. I took a hearty cough. No, I took
That's not a good.
Wii Golf, Mario Kart Double Dash, Rocket League, NASCAR 98, and Destruction Derby. Preston, what's on your list?
Cruising, yeah. Cruising USA.
Exotica.
Mario Kart 8.
Deluxe.
Mario Kart 8 Deluxe with all additional add-ons. Crazy Taxi, was that the next one, or was Split Second next? Either way,
Split
I
Second.
got Crazy Taxi and Split Second. And then Forza Horizon 5.
Why do I even make these spreadsheets?
I
Golly.
don't have a link to that spreadsheet
You
yet.
do. It's in the driving channel, sir.
Yeah.
Ryan.
Preston.
Ryan, remind us one more
Found the
time of
spreadsheet.
your superior list.
I've got SnowRunner, Gran Turismo 5, Burnout Paradise, BeamNG.Drive, and Need for Speed 3 Hot Pursuit.
Excellent. And if you could just go ahead and start the clean sweep of votes for Travis. Now let us know whose list besides your own that you will be voting for here.
This is a tough one. Honestly, Forza, I was really leaning towards you, Brian, until Preston pulled out Forza Horizon 5.
That's fair.
And now you're going to give it to me because you can't pick. I understand.
Let's see here. I mean, Brian has the superior Mario Kart.
Mm-hmm.
I think Brian has the simulator that Preston is missing. Brian's list is a little more rounded out than Preston's, but I mean, Preston has some of those arcade classics.
Okay, but he's got a golf game on his list.
I know.
Yeah,
You know what?
makes sense.
You drive it. Travis, you don't get to complain about Brian's list. I think I'm talking myself into a vote for Brian this week.
Let's go. I love it. Thank you, sir. I really, really want to return the favor, but I've only played one game on your list. And so, yeah, hitting that nostalgia factor harder for me is the Cruisin' USA Mario Kart Crazy Taxi combo. So my vote will be going to Preston. So you might not have gotten Ryan's vote, Preston, but you did get mine. Who are you going for, sir?
Going for myself. We're just breaking all the rules today.
What rules? Okay. You guys keep mentioning the rules, and I just have no idea what you're talking about. I've never seen them. I've never heard about them. They don't exist as far as I'm concerned.
Preston, who are you voting for?
Travis.
No!
How dare you, Preston? I was right to not vote for you.
That's great because I'm going to vote for Ryan, so everyone starts with one vote.
Hey.
It's great. Just like I predicted earlier in the episode.
It's too good. I've got to go with just the most absurd list. And I think he may have something here.
Do you mean that I actually did win your vote by picking Stardew Valley?
No, you won my vote because it's a stupid ass list.
It's got a famous 6th century release chess.
Still waiting on chess 2.
There's another short.
It's out. It's on Steam. Download it right now.
It's
Brian's
it's
disapproval.
so good. The memery.
I'm full on Pablo Escobar and Narcos sitting on the swing. Like,
You should have gone with the golf bit, Brian.
yeah. Ryan, while I try to emotionally recover from this, why don't you run us through your 100 honorable mentions that you have?
All right, so Driver San Francisco, absolutely
Yeah.
undersung game, really cool story, just a really fun one. Euro Truck Sim, you got to mention it. That's a hugely popular game in its niche market. Classic Excite Bike. I can't, there's so many good games in this. I should just rapid
It's
fire.
difficult.
Twisted Metal. I can't believe no one talked about Twisted Metal.
Shit.
The Crew, absolutely solid option in my mind. GTA Online or GTA 5, any of the GTAs really, just so much driving done in those games. Assetto Corsa, iRacing, we did talk about. Here's my closest to the, well, I don't know, maybe not, but Mini Motorways, Brian. I know you were a fan for a
I
little
love
while.
Mini Metro and Mini Motorways. Fantastic games. Yeah.
A lot of fun. And then a game I didn't know existed until I was doing research today or yesterday, but is now in my Steam wish list to be bought soon. My Summer Car, which is a simulator where you build a car in Finland and then just drive it around, and you're constantly fixing it and modifying it. And
I can't believe you didn't know that didn't exist.
I had no
That is
idea, bro. I've never heard about it.
Absolutely, you game.
Okay,
I know.
wait. Are there any Transformers games where you drive around as Optimus Prime in semi-truck form?
Maybe.
so.
I don't know.
That that could have been a pick here.
Oh, and I think there is a segment of people that would be a little upset if we didn't at least mention Trackmania.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
What about
Trackmania
Trials?
and the Hot Wheels games were on my list just for absurdity of how fun they are.
And one more. This was another personal pick. If things went differently, Lake. I loved that game last year when it came
I'm
out.
kind of surprised that you didn't pick that. I was actually wondering about that.
That
for you.
is a driving game. Yeah.
There was a rendition of this list that had Lake as my 5th pick, and then I saw that picture of Need for Speed 3 Hot Pursuit, and I was like, oh, it's just fun.
Yeah.
had to
No,
go for
totally
it.
fair. All right, great list. Preston, do you have any more honorable mentions?
Did you just call me a moron? GTA
Yes.
5.
Yep, I had that as well.
So, and then Blur, which came out the same year as Split Second or right around, and I think Split Second just like blew it out of the water. I only have it on the list because I thought of it as the inferior Split Second, and so it went on my list. But then here's a very specific one: Tokyo Extreme Racer 3 for the PS2.
Ooh.
You would drive around and like pull up next to people and then try to like get them to race you, and then y'all would take off. Cody had it whenever we were younger, and he would like really get into the tuning of the cars. But I would just like, while he wasn't playing it, I would go in and race his cars and probably lose a bunch of races and stuff like that. So it's got really good memories for me. I don't know if it was actually a good game at all. And then there's a game, and maybe one of y'all remembers it because I cannot for the life of me remember, where there's a futuristic level that's like a sandbox where you can go around and just kind of like go off ramps, and you're trying to get points that are like in the air or something like that. But then it's typically a racing game, but it's just a single level where there's a futuristic sandbox, and it's very, very cool. And I cannot remember what the game was, but it was on like the 64 or something whenever I was a kid. So if you're listening and you can find that game and you know what I'm talking about, please let me know, because I'm dying to remember what that is.
Okay.
Then the last one, I would be remiss not to bring up Wave Runner.
Wave Race.
Wave Race, yep. Which Greg brought up in the chat, but it's, I didn't want to pick it because it's not driving.
You're driving a Wave Runner.
Yeah, I feel like that one would count. How else would you describe what you're doing on the Wave Runner?
Wave runnering.
Wave running.
Wave running.
Sailing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it would be driving.
Sailing takes me away from wave bound. Anyway.
So I had a couple more actual racing games on my list. One of them, the way Travis talked about the nostalgia for that new lap record in episode 1 Racer, for me that was just the Ridge Racer intro. Ridge Racer, and then hitting those checkpoints. The other one I had on my list that I never actually owned, but they had it at like an after school program I used to go to, was Wipeout. And I can't remember if we had the original one or 64, or there was also a couple of sequels. It looks like it might have been 2097 that we had. But I just remember that game being super fun. That's kind of a Star Wars racer like, where it's like little hover vehicles that you're driving along a track at incredibly quick speeds, and like Racer has a really good feel for that speed. As you're going through the track, you do really feel like you're zooming through those tracks. It's very fun. As part of my original bit list to just do golf games, I did also have Golf Story, as Travis mentioned, Mario Golf Super Rush, and Tiger Woods PGA Tour 2004, specifically for some of the custom characters that appeared in that game, and I just put dozens of hours into that one. And then the closest thing I had to a Stardew Valley type pick, where driving happens in the game, but it is not what the game is, was some version of the Mass Effect series, potentially the Legendary Edition, so I could get all three. But the driving in that, I thought that one would be funny because the driving is so widely panned in the first game, especially as being terrible. But the game itself is, a classic, a masterpiece. So those are my honorable mentions. Travis, did you have anything left to add?
Yeah, I've got two.
Okay.
One would be F1 Race, which was a Game Boy game that I, for some reason, had 2 copies of and played a whole lot and was really bad at. Like, have no fundamental understanding of F1 racing or anything like that. And, yeah, was just really, really dog at the game. And then the other one is Death Stranding, which for me turns into quite a bit of driving as you work on and then complete the road. You spend a lot of time driving in that game, and I love making the trip from the beginning of the road all the way up to the end of it in the mountains. And I think they actually expanded on the road in the director's cut, if I'm not mistaken. So I really got to play that.
You see,
build the road a third time.
if you had picked Death Stranding, I would have voted for you.
You did.
You did vote for him.
Yeah, but I would have also voted for him.
Okay, gotcha.
See, and I could have picked it under the on Steam stipulation, but I really just wanted to keep it to the stuff that was available on Tesla before the whole Steam thing hit.
I do need to make a correction. Greg suggested Hydro Thunder, which is very different.
Yeah.
That is very different. Yeah, you pilot a Hydro. You don't drive a Hydro.
Yeah, come on.
Obviously.
Right.
You do drive a plane, though.
Other ones from the chat. We have Bob Backwards with Vigilante 8. Rob did post Twisted Metal in there. He's going to be very disappointed in us for not picking it, as well as Diddy Kong Racing. We didn't pick a lot of the other mascot racers, Crash or SpongeBob. I also, when I saw that Vigilante
Smurf.
8 poster, Smurfs, sorry, Marvel. When I saw the Vigilante 8 menu, that made me think of Road Rash, which was another very popular series when I was a kid that we did not talk about, where you'd ride motorcycles and try to whip other motorcyclists with chains and pipes and other implements of destruction.
As you
Diddy
do,
Kong Racing.
What's
Diddy
that?
Kong Racing.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about Diddy Kong
That's
Racing.
what I just said that, Travis.
But we didn't talk about the hovercraft. And how you drive the hovercraft.
Are you serious, Derek?
You also drive the plane in Diddy Kong Racing.
But why male models? Yeah, no. And I don't know if you want to say Mario Kart eventually kind of stole that with some of their hover sections that they have in the later games. But I mean, I'm not trying to start in Nintendo controversy here.
I don't think that.
That's what Travis said.
That.
So, all right. So we are done. We're at
Brian.
Yeah.
I was just cursing your name.
Oh, thank you. We are at the end of the draft. So the last thing we do before we leave is our plugs. Ryan, one more time, tell the good people out there everywhere that they can hear your show, sir.
Check us out. We're the Friendly Fire Games Pod. Friendly Fire Pod on Twitch. I believe we're Friendly Fire Games Pod on YouTube. We've got Gotta Rank 'Em All's the main show. One Piece Episode 2 coming soon. God, there is a force in the universe that does not want us to talk about that game.
We heard similar things about that during our Theater Rhythm episode with Tactical Dreamer recently.
We've had to reschedule it 5 times now. But we will get together and tell everyone just how bad that game is.
That's such a bummer because I know a couple of your guys were super high to get it and play it. It seemed like there was a lot of hype around Friendly Fire for this game.
I mean, I was pretty excited because it's the same dev team that made Dragon Quest 11, and I'm a big fan of Dragon Quest 11 on the Switch. It's okay, this is a team that knows how to make a competent turn-based RPG. And man, especially in the very end of that game, did it really fall flat and then trip over and punch itself in the face a few times, and it's just not good.
Do you want to give me some minute counts for that last boss fight?
The minute count for the last boss fight? First phase or second phase?
Oh no.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. It was like 15 minutes for the first phase and 33 minutes for the second phase. So like 48 minutes total.
That's absurd.
And that's like without deaths and stuff. That's just how long it takes to beat it.
And I was in like a perfect rhythm where I knew exactly what I had to do every time. It was just the boss had that much health. It just took that long to whittle down. This was after a full chapter of boss rush.
Yeah. Could you have gone back and like leveled up or anything to have made that quicker? Or
so from the research I did, I was they wanted your level to be 50 going into that last boss fight, and I was between 50 and 56 with everyone on my squad.
Okay.
So I mean, I could have, but I don't know how much good it would have done.
Right. Yikes. Okay. But yeah, check them out on the Friendly Fire Pod, and gotta rank them all. Excited to see how you guys wrap that up, and all the surprise episodes and guests that you've got coming up. That's gonna be very exciting.
Yeah, it'll be a fun time.
Yeah. Travis, do you have anything to plug, sir?
Just whatever Preston's about to plug.
Excellent. Preston, what do you got for us?
Is there something I should be... we have our YouTube starting up. We are doing some videos for YouTube with gameplay impressions or general gameplay. And so you're going to see I'm going to commit to just one video a week for now.
Smart.
Starting out, we're going to have about like 4 or 5 videos over the course of this week. But then after that, it's going to really limit down. A couple of the things that we're doing, again, gameplay impressions. We're going to get Theater Rhythm, Hi-Fi Rush, Beam MG. And then Ryan and I are playing through all of the Destiny Lightfall campaign. And I'm condensing our many, many, many deaths into like 2-minute cutscene or, montages. So it's not, each time we get a recording, it's like an hour long, and it gets condensed to like 20 minutes once you remove all of our repeated tries and deaths. So we're going to be doing that over the course of the next coming weeks. So you can expect one of those videos a week. And then I may bring back a little bit of Press X to Doubt on the YouTube channel.
Hell yeah, brother.
So that'll be a short 30-minute thing. It will not be in our podcast feed. It'll only be on the YouTube channel.
Excellent. Very cool, very cool. And we have Jacob McCourt to thank and blame, I feel like, for all of this new content coming out of Draft Punks in a very roundabout way. Our good friend Jacob, friend of the show, who joined us for Trivia Punks, helped Preston figure out how to apply for a PAX East media badge, which we got. And then I think Preston started feeling like a pretender because we haven't been making a lot of content lately. So he said, let's just flood it. Let's put out all the content in 3 weeks before
I'm doing
PAX.
some major content farming right now, so that way I can feel comfortable whenever that comes around.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ryan and I are going to PAX together.
Hell yeah.
At the end of March. And so if you're going to PAX, if you want to hear more about PAX, let us know and we can figure out something. We're going to be doing like vlog-like stuff with that and giving hopefully daily updates depending on how my little crappy laptop actually holds up whenever it comes to editing.
Excellent. That's going to be very exciting. I'm excited to hear more about Evolutus Duality.
Duality?
Hopefully they show up at PAX East. Everything Preston just mentioned is great. He's also been taking it to task on Twitch a lot lately. They've been playing a lot of Destiny 2 in the afternoon, so you can find us there at Real Draft Punks. If you want to join our Discord server so that you can vote for your favorite list this week or any other week. What's that?
Vote for Travis's list.
Yes. No, don't do that. That would be a terrible mistake. No. Vote for whoever you like. But if you want to vote, check out our Discord, which you can join by going to our Twitter account at Real Draft Punks. There is a link in the bio. We would love to have you become part of our community. We're always doing some fun gaming, movie nights, things like that on there. There's always stuff to do, people to talk to. We have new channels for some of our favorite shows where you can discuss those as well, including How to Waste Your Time, 99 Questions, the Bob Buell Question Podcast, and how am I forgetting someone? Who am I forgetting? Oh, Trivia Puns, our show. Sorry, Preston. But yeah, so come and join us on the Discord. We would love to have you. We'd love to talk to you. We'd love to meet you. And we'd love to get your vote. But that's it for this episode of the show. Ryan, do you know it by heart now?
I do know it by heart, yeah.
Excellent. Let's hear that outro, buddy.
Until next week, travelers, be happy, be healthy, and be kind to each other.
Next week? When do these episodes come out?
Preston, you told me once a week.
Episodes?
All right, I'm going to come back here next Saturday, and we're drafting something
travelers. Oh, goodness. Until next time we get off our asses and sit down on our asses to record an episode, travelers.
You want to see my pits?
Too blurry to tell.
What?
I'm sweating.
What are you doing?
It's that legendary.
Legendary sweat.
All right, we're never recording video again.
Legendary coming out of my armpits.
Okay.
It's that pit cheese.
It's that pit cheese. All right.